Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review number 131. And I am Virtue, being joined by a smaller panel today, so this should be exciting. We can all talk a little longer, but myself, Big G, and Aaron Rift. What's up, everybody? Big G, what's going on, man?
I'm doing good, Virtue. Glad to be back with the review again this week. Had a nice day. It was 75. The sun was out. We had AEW Revolution last week, Sunday. We got Wrestlemania. We got a big week of Wrestlemania coming up, and I know we got a lot to talk about. So let's get this ball rolling.
You know, I feel a little underprepared. I would have liked to have had a couple sparklers, maybe a small little smoke bomb for the beginning of the show today or the end, but, you know, whatever. Don't have it. Aaron, what's up?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm looking forward to the discussion today. Not often that we only have three people, but hey, things happen. People have to pull out last minute. You know, that's how life goes sometimes. And we got WrestleMania coming up. We just had the AEW Revolution pay-per-view, which was very polarizing, a lot of different opinions on that. And shout out to everybody in the chat room for tuning in live. You guys will have to make up. You guys are the fourth panel person. So more than ever, we're looking for your guys' thoughts as we go through these topics. Leave your comments in the chat room, and I will be putting up some of the comments on the screen. Let's go ahead and get started with it.
So we kind of have a double main event today, and it's revolving around Vince McMahon. And we will get to those topics later in the show, but that's why Vincent Kennedy McMahon, VKM, the chairman of the board, is the thumbnail for the video this week. Good old Vince McMahon. You can never go wrong with him. So with that said, let's start with this topic. You know, it's WrestleMania season. And I want everybody's thoughts. Like all the years leading into WrestleMania, what was your favorite go-to match or feud? So, Big G, I'm going to start with you. You had to have had one thing you were super excited for going into WrestleMania of all time. And it could be something this year. Doubt that. But, you know, with it being WrestleMania season, you know, we're supposed to have those WrestleMania giddy feelings. And was there something that stood out to you heading into the Mania that you just really loved over? I can't wait to explain mine and tell you why, but what's yours?
So there's been this year will be 37 WrestleManias going in. And one of my all-time favorites would be Austin and Rock. Their feuds would be awesome. WrestleMania 17, I thought was their best match out of all three of them. You know, just the chemistry they had between each other was awesome. It felt like they really hated each other, and it was awesome just to see those two go at it. And another one that comes to mind is from WrestleMania 21, Shawn Michaels and Curt Angle. The build up for that feud was awesome. They brought in Marty Jannetty and Sherry, and Curt Angle did his own little song of Shawn Michaels' theme song and whatnot, and that led to an all-time great match. And I know Aaron was there in person for that match.
Yep.
And you know, there's so many that I could talk about, but you know, with WrestleMania 37 coming up, I'm kind of looking towards Edge and Roman Reigns. You know, the build-up so far has been awesome. The promos between them will continue to be great. And I'm sure this match, hopefully it'll be an all-time classic. You know, it's spear versus spear. Yeah. You got a guy from the Attitude Era versus the newer generation, if you want to consider that the Thunderdome era, Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns right now is at his best. They finally uncuffed him and let him be him. And obviously with Edge, you know, they're never going to put handcuffs on Edge because it's Edge. So those are my top three that I could, you know, that I thought of. So there we go.
Okay, I've been to two WrestleManias. WrestleMania 34, that was in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And WrestleMania 35, let me know if I got my numbers right. 35 was in New Jersey. Did I get those right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So 34, I enjoyed it because obviously it was my first live WrestleMania, the Superdome, Roman versus Brock. What I remember most about that was the Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle. That they brought the house down. And then of course the next year I got to see Roman again at a WrestleMania, but it was against Drew McIntyre in the mid card. But my favorite moment going into a WrestleMania had to be my junior year in high school. Going into WrestleMania 14, Shawn Michaels was the champion. DX was on fire with Triple H, Chyna, and Shawn. It was before the New Age Outlaws officially joined them. Shawn had that back injury, but back then, the dirt sheet stuff the internet Aaron knows, it was still kind of gaining traction. So I just figured Michaels was just not wrestling because he was saving for the pay-per-view. The build-up to that was just incredible with Mike Tyson, and that past Shawn Michaels handed the Attitude Era over to Stone Cold Steve Austin on a silver platter, and that led to the Austin McMahon feud. Obviously, Shawn took 4 years off, and little did we know at the time that would end up rejuvenating Shawn Michaels to a better second half of his career than first half. So, I mean, WrestleMania 14, Austin, Michaels, Tyson, unbelievable. And I know that match wasn't the best because Michaels' injury, but if you go back and watch that, Michaels took some hard bumps considering, and I get chills. They show him walking through the tunnel. He had the live DX band. He kissed a little ring he had on, and you could tell he was nervous as hell going out there performing with that back injury. And everybody says he didn't want to pass the torch over. He's a professional. He did. I know he gets a lot of heat for not working with Vader and some guys like that, but the bottom line is Michaels knew he had to put Austin over there for business, and it happened. That, to me, was unbelievable. And even the next couple years with Austin and Rock, it just really paved the way to great wrestling. Yep. Aaron, I'm interested to hear what you have to say on this one.
Well, my go-to, I think Big G made a great pick with Austin and The Rock as far as feuds go because they had 3 different WrestleMania matches against each other. But I think I would have to go with WrestleMania 13 for me because Steve Austin and Bret Hart was the feud that really got the Attitude Era going. That double turn is what made Steve Austin's career, in my opinion, and set the tone for the future and was the beginning of the hottest period in wrestling history. I just love the storytelling with Bret and Austin, everything from the Survivor Series match, all of the promos back and forth, leading up to the Royal Rumble, and then finally at WrestleMania. It was just great professional wrestling, and I believed it. I believed that these guys really hated each other, and too often I'm not convinced. Like, I watch WWE and AEW today, and I'm like, well, I don't believe that these guys really hate each other. They're friends playing in the ring together, and they're putting on a performance art. Like with Austin and Bret Hart, I thought these guys legitimately wanted to hurt each other. And we just don't see that enough in wrestling these days, in my opinion. But Virtue, I love your choice too, with Shawn Michaels passing the torch over to Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13, or WrestleMania 14, I should say. Pretty much anything with Austin, I think.
Yeah.
Austin
and
was
let's
definitely...
not forget Undertaker. Undertaker had some great feuds at WrestleMania too, so...
Absolutely. The streak was a big deal. I mean, Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, and The Undertaker, those 3 guys, I think, brought out overall the best moments in WrestleMania history.
Aaron, was there a super chat? I thought I saw one.
Yeah, there was one. Let me get to that. David McGinnis sent in a $2 super chat. He says, I miss Stephanie McMahon's entrance song on Raw. Well, I do not. But more power to you for missing Stephanie. I guess somebody has to miss her, right?
Oh, there's another one from Dwayne Atkinson that just popped in.
Got it here. Thank you for that, Big G. Dwayne Atkinson with a $3 super chat says, very first Money in the Bank cash-in. That wasn't WrestleMania, though. That was the...
I think he was talking about I think he might be talking about when Rollins cashed it in.
Oh, well, that was... Yeah, and... I was there for that. That was a tremendous moment. We do have some more super chats, so let me get to those. And thank you guys in the chat room for contributing. Very much appreciate it. You guys are the 4th person tonight, so more than ever, we're leaning on you guys to help us out with these topics. Let's read off this one from Father Adrian, he says, I watched WrestleMania 23 yesterday, one of the more underrated WrestleManias. Great main event with Shawn Michaels and John Cena. Love the pile driver on the steps. I definitely agree with that. That match was awesome, that main event. And, of course, Batista versus The Undertaker was another great match on that card. And we do have a $2 super chat here from Psycho Jet Black. Thank you for that. He says, imagine current talent on cocaine cutting promos. I think they would be more entertaining than they are right now. I mean, I'm not saying anybody should be doing drugs, but yeah, those guys in the 80s, they at the very least created some very entertaining promos. And hell, you know, people sometimes when they're under the influence of something, they can creatively go in different places. It happens.
All right, Aaron, let's move on to the WWE Hall of Fame. So last year's class, you know, they never really had the ceremony or anything. Right. Molly Holly gets introduced for this year's class. So what's going on with that? What am I missing? Is Molly Holly, she's in this year's class, not last year's? Can someone clarify this for me?
Yes. So on Tuesday, April 6th, if I'm correct, they're inducting both classes 2020.
So they're going to double dip. So we're going to get a new batch of wrestlers on top of the ones from last year.
Correct.
So we're going to get every week or whatever, we'll get a new name. So what does everybody think about Molly Holly? You know, she was right there, after Attitude Era into the Ruthless Aggression Era, maybe? Yeah. Aaron, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, there is a super chat. Let me read that off real quick before we dive into this new topic. Dwayne Atkinson also added with a $2 super chat regarding WrestleMania 23, the Battle of the Billionaires hair versus hair match. Yeah, but we try to forget about that for the obvious reasons, although that was Bobby Lashley's big moment in his first WWE run prior to his comeback. But yeah, we try to forget about that for the most part. Anyways, let's get to the current topic.
So, Big G, thoughts on Molly Holly? It's all right. You know, good for her. I thought her biggest moment, was the hardcore thing, right? Didn't she get mixed up with that? And I know she was with the Hollies. Yeah. She did end up winning. Did she win the women's championship at one point?
Yes.
So, you know, there's so many people they can pick from, and it is really strange on how Vince McMahon, who we know ultimately decides this. So I'm not going to say she doesn't deserve it. She absolutely does. And I don't want to start saying who should be in there. I mean, we don't know who the other inductees this year is going to be. So I'm just going to say congratulations. Good for her. I'm going to keep it simple. Big G, what do you want to add?
Yeah, you know, good for her. You know, she's had a good career. Like you said, she started late in the Attitude Era, early Ruthless Aggression. Had the match with Victoria at WrestleMania 20, hair versus hair match. Obviously, she lost and got her hair cut. She did win the women's title a couple times. She was in the first ever women's Royal Rumble, so that was good for her too. And she had a decent career, like you said. She teamed up with the Hollies, with Hurricane Helms. She was Mighty Holly for a while. So yeah, good for her. It's well deserved.
All right. Well, thank you for that input, Big G. Aaron, over to you.
All right. I'm happy for her. I think she definitely made a big impact with the women. Remember, she went back to WCW. She's been around quite a long time. She was in WCW and she helped with some of the women in WCW, and then she came to WWE. And she wasn't the biggest star, but she definitely helped out with the women over the years, and you could see by all the comments on social media from Trish Stratus and Beth Phoenix, you know, very well respected and liked in WWE. Happy for her. I'm curious to see who else is going in. This is a first in WWE where we are having 2 Hall of Fame classes on the same night. We already have the 2000 class. The question is, how many names will go in for 2021, or will WWE just throw in maybe 3 or 4 names on top of the names? Are they going to do any big names? That's what I'm curious about. Are they going to do a top tier name for 2021, or are they just going to throw in a couple of mid-level names so they could say, well, yeah, we had technically a 2020 class and a 2021 class. What do you think, Virtue? Do you think they should have another big name, or do you think that's going to be too much for one night?
I don't think so, but they should have, out of the group of people that are announcing for 2021, because who's the big name last year? Batista?
Batista and the NWO.
And NWO. So they should have, somebody that really gets your interest for the new class. But yeah, I don't think it should overshadow the top ones from last year. And that's just the pickle that the pandemic provided. So it's really not against them. It's like they're making it a 2-year bigger class. So get some of these other mid-card or upper mid-card people in there and, headline with NWO and Batista.
All right. And David sent in a $2 super chat, says, want to see New Jack going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. You know what? I could see RVD maybe going in this year. He's working on a documentary with WWE. A lot of comments in the chat room about that. I'm fine with that. I say go for it. Let's see RVD going in this year, and maybe one or two other people, and let that be it. Don't go overboard with this year's class, because it's going to be quite a long show. I'm wondering what they're going to do, though. Are they going to do a virtual show? Or are they going to do something in Tampa with the WWE staff? Like, I would be fine if they just did the in-person stuff with the WWE roster and, friends and family, and just have
intimate like it used to. Remember, it used to kind of be that way?
Like 2004. Like 2005, I think, is when they started bringing in fans. But I say do something like 2004. I would much prefer that over doing the virtual method. I know that
because then the fans can't troll the speeches.
Absolutely, and they could probably keep the speeches a bit shorter too.
Yeah,
not go like 5 or 6 hours. And with the fans, they do the cat calling and everything. And with Hogan out there, he'll be playing to the fans, for 20, 30 minutes, and that'll go on. So yeah, I hope they'll do something in person. And they don't need to have fans for it. Just have the wrestlers and friends and family and whatnot.
Yep, I agree. All right, this topic. So we've had Snoop Dogg and AEW, right? Even get in the ring, kind of. We've had Bad Bunny, who's going to probably have this match at WrestleMania, and he's done some stuff. What's this obsession of wrestlers and rappers? Because it's spilling over to social media. Soulja Boy, and here's the thing. You're going to love this, Aaron. Where is Curt Hennig and the West Texas Rednecks when we need it? Boy, that would just be so refreshing. And this is why I wish they still had Curtis Axel, because you could have a guy like him do exactly what his dad did right now, and you could bring a rapper in and have that would be entertaining. I would love that. But it's starting to get a little ridiculous because, rappers are trying to, hey, we're great musicians and we're famous and you guys are horrible actors, can't wrestle. I don't know. We could be getting work. This could be all these deals to bring these rappers and people into the business to try to get their fans to watch, like we know they're doing with Bad Bunny. To me, this stuff's only entertaining if the end game is entertaining. Like, I don't know, Master P and the No Limit Soldiers back in the day when Curt Hennig and the West Texas Rednecks were. That's the stuff that pops me. Big G, is this just kind of just ridiculous for social media? I mean, isn't Randy Orton mixing it up with them?
Yeah, Randy.
What's going on here, man?
I think Randy Orton and Soulja Boy are getting it on. Yeah, getting it on. They're beefing it out on Twitter.
Totally white.
Freaking, what is Soulja Boy saying that wrestling's fake and whatnot, and Randy Orton is going back and tweeting pictures out of Drew McIntyre and Sheamus's back, saying, "Yeah, this is fake, all right," and where do I send the check to your where do I send the check to your mom or something like that? It could be all could be at work, or it all could just be I don't know the words for it. Some rappers think that wrestling is fake, and wrestlers think that rap is crap, and all this mumbo jumbo, and it's just crazy. Social media is just, Twitter in general has just this open platform for everybody and everyone.
Dude, where's John Cena when you need him? Oh, that would be so great.
That would be cool. That would be cool. But yeah. I mean, it's crazy nowadays. People just throw, talk crap to each other on Twitter, and then people just suck it up and eat it, and just oh my God.
I don't even listen to rap anymore.
Can we
I used to.
WrestleMania?
I used to listen to rap all the time, and I really don't I mean, I like Eminem. His new stuff isn't anywhere close to as good as his old stuff, but maybe they're working us and they're just trying to get relevant again.
Well,
I can't knock the rappers for trying to get attention. I don't know.
Yeah.
Aaron, rap, I'd like to hear you do a little freestyle, but I know you're not, like Kurt Angle kind of did back in the day. But you know, this kind of disinterest you. I just thought it was amusing that this is happening. I feel like because this is happening, we're going to see a bunch of rappers on wrestling TV this year. What do you think, Aaron?
I'm guessing we're not going to see Soulja Boy on TV. I think Randy Orton just wanted to defend the business, and when somebody throws the F word out there, wrestlers, they get upset about that, and they take it seriously. They take it personally. And I think Randy Orton was just shooting back at him. And he's one of the few guys that could probably get away with it. I think it's doing more good for Soulja Boy than Randy Orton, because Randy Orton, he's the relevant guy right now. Soulja Boy, I haven't heard anything from him in like 14, 15 years.
Bow Wow was another one I've seen his name pop up too.
Yeah. Jerry Manley wrote, he said, John Cena, Soulja Boy, tell him we thought you were in heaven. You haven't been relevant since 2007.
See, I mean, just even fans can come up with stuff, man.
Yeah. And the thing is, at least with Bad Bunny, he's relevant right now. He's a really big deal. So it makes sense for WWE to utilize him. But the Soulja Boy thing, I'm just like, okay, whatever. And I found Iron Sheik's response to Soulja Boy more entertaining than any of the stuff with Randy Orton. When the Iron Sheik comes into play, like, it's game over. Like, Soulja Boy has no comeback now.
Yeah.
It's pretty much over. Iron Sheik just laid him to rest, although it's not actually Iron Sheik tweeting that. It's his agent or somebody tweeting for him. But
he's probably telling him what to
But I'm sure he gets some ideas from him. Yeah, put that on there. Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, it's the Iron Sheik gimmick and whatnot. So it's entertaining for us on Twitter, but I doubt it's going to amount to anything on WWE television. And yeah, it would be overkill too. You know, you got Bad Bunny, you don't need Soulja Boy. That
brings me up to Max Caster. I would love, you know, him and his, isn't that a tag team? The what's that name? The Acclaimed in AEW. And this is, you know, if Tony Khan wants to keep signing people, I'd love for them to bring in Enzo and Cass, even if on a short-term contract, to feud with the Acclaimed, to hear Enzo promo, Max Caster promo. That's rap to me. If you want to put rap in wrestling, have the wrestlers try to do it. Because, like, Cena did it, had great stuff with Kurt Angle. You know, the referee did the beatbox. That's where it makes sense. But anyways, moving on here. Let's talk about some AEW now. This will be our little AEW topics. And the first thing is Revolution Fallout. Before we talked about what happened on Dynamite, yes, Aaron?
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, still waiting for the return of Bo Rida.
See? Yeah, they never went there with that.
No, because Bo Rida completely outshined Flo Rida, and you can't have that. So that whole thing got dropped. That was entertaining as hell.
That's what made the Attitude Era so good. Bo Rida would have got over, and there would have been writers in place to convince Vince McMahon to do it. This whole new structure lately just ugh. All right, before we talk about what happened on Dynamite and regarding the Inner Circle, let's just do our general AEW review Fallout. I know Aaron always talks about this, but we had the exploding barbed wire match, and for the most part, through the whole match, all right, I got it. You know, I questioned some things, but come on, you know, that's a tough setup to try to do. They definitely botched the ending, and poor Eddie Kingston probably expected some big firework display, and you know, I know they tried to cover it, and we can explain how they tried to cover it. But so we had that. We had Christian's debut. I feel bad for him because fans build up the huge expectation in their mind. Aaron, I agree with you. If they never said anything like this was going to happen and then Christian just showed up and signed a contract live, we would all be buzzing about it. But they set the expectation, and that's not Christian Cage's fault. Of course, the cinematic street fight, I enjoyed that. I mean, it didn't have the Jeremy Borash touch. I swear that factory or warehouse they were in was an old Model T Ford abandoned shop. I had to actually Google that and see if there was one in Jacksonville, and it looks like it was still standing. I don't know if that's where they filmed it or not, but I used to be in a couple. I went into a couple of those facilities to tour, and that kind of looked like one of those. I love that. And then, of course, Sting did not take much bumps, but that was designed to protect him. So, Big G, you watched Revolution.
Yes.
You want to tell the NoDQ Galaxy some of your thoughts on these things?
For the most part, I thought it was a decent pay-per-view. Well, we talked about it on the other show the other day, and I enjoyed the street fight. The commentary, they didn't really have to do, the ones in Impact with the final deletion, and then the WrestleMania one with Undertaker and AJ Styles, and the other ones they've done. There was no commentary, so I felt like they shouldn't have done it. It would have made it more significant, but it was still good. Darby Allin did all his crazy stunts. Like we talked about, how many times did they have to film it where Darby threw the bat down to Sting? Was it a one-time shot? How many times?
But still, though, they could have took 20 times to do it, or the third time. It looked awesome. They recorded the shot that worked, and it was good stuff.
And then the coffin drop off of the top, onto Brian Cage through the floor or through the mattress padding to make it look like he went a couple stories down. The ladder match was okay for what it was. And the main event, the barbed wire death match, that was my first match of that match I've ever seen. I thought it was pretty decent until the end. And I was like, what the heck is this? And the next day I went on Twitter and saw ones from the past in Japan. I was like, all right, something's going on here. Did they mess it up? Was it a botch? Was it done on purpose? Was it part of the storyline? And then going into yesterday Dynamite, Eddie Kingston sold it like $1 million. I mean, he covered his best friend up and protected him.
He's thinking that's going to look good on TV, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why
he sold it. You had the sparklers and then little kaboom, and he was out, and he explained it yesterday with his anxiety.
Panic.
And then you had Omega and Callis come out with the Good Brothers, and they explained, we took away.
We don't want to get, dude. Like, so that was too hard. Like, I just blah 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 blah.
It could have been a botch, and it could have been part of the storyline. We're not gonna know.
It was a botch. Eddie Kingston sold it, never looking up, because in his mind, there's no way they're ribbing Eddie Kingston there. And to make him look foolish, because he beat someone's ass. Well, so they were supposed to have it look cool.
They wanted to make him look like fools, and that's what they did. They made him look like fools.
But I'm saying you're buying into the storyline, Big G. It was really supposed to be something big, and it didn't happen, and they effed up. Because Eddie Kingston would not have sold that, and they're not going to rib Eddie Kingston to make him look foolish like that. They know better. Yeah, but I get it. You see, but it's working. You're buying into what they told you on Dynamite. So there you go.
Apparently there was a third party that screwed it up, and they were supposed to have better explosions for that ending.
Yeah. So anything else on Revolution there for you, Big G?
No, and I'm sure we'll talk about the other thing later on. So
yes, the Inner Circle. All right, over to you, Aaron. I know this is rehash for you, but you want to piggyback off anything we said?
AEW makes mistakes. That's the way it is. They're not going to be putting on A+ shows every single week, every single pay-per-view. They're bound to make some mistakes, and they're going to try different things, and sometimes it's not going to work out the way they want. We talked about how WWE screwed up that Royal Rumble match between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. We saw what happened, Hell in a Cell, with The Fiend and Seth Rollins a few years back. We've had some bad endings on pay-per-views. AEW, they will recover for it. They will recover from it, I should say. And they did have a bit of a rebound on Dynamite. They did that angle with MJF forming his own faction, and that got some people talking. I guess we'll have to see next week what kind of number AEW does. This week, it was not so good. It was like 735,000, something like that, which means basically they lost their 50-plus-year-old audience that tuned in for the Shaq match last week, and they're back to their normal number. We'll see if they can get that number back up. Maybe they'll get some buzz out of the MJF thing. My grade for the pay-per-view, to respond to Dwayne, I gave it a B+, which is higher than a lot of people gave it. I still thought overall it was a very good show. Oh, and also Ethan Page's debut on Dynamite got messed up by the NBA audio feed that got mixed in with AEW's feed. That was unfortunate. And it's not AEW's fault. That was a TNT problem. But yeah, the timing of it coming off of the whole explosion debacle did not help matters for AEW.
Yeah.
But I think they'll recover from it. And overall, I thought Dynamite was a good show as well.
I rated Revolution on the scale of $0 to $50. I gave it $10, right? Which, you know, I told Big G on the other show we did, $10. I mean, I give WWE $10 to get all of their content, right, and their monthly pay-per-view. So don't look at it like I'm crapping on AEW. I just said I would give AEW $10 for that pay-per-view. But if you want a $50 value, you got to deliver a little bit better than that. And, you know, if they didn't have the botch at the end, if Christian wasn't like hyped up and they just showed him and he just debuted, that might have been $25. You know, it's the little things sometimes that make it great. Not necessarily the people there, but it's a whole kit and caboodle package. And right now, it's clear WWE's production is obviously leaps and bounds better than AEW's because it's more experienced. They've done it a lot longer. Like Aaron said, everybody makes mistakes, and it's how you can recover from them. Now, we're going to piggyback that right into the next topic. And on Dynamite, Aaron.
Yeah, we do have a super chat here from the Game Is On 100.
Okay.
Thank you for that. He says, well, at least the Firefly Inferno match was better than the AEW Explosion Death match. Now, wait, was the Firefly Inferno, that was the John Cena thing, right?
No, that was Orton and Wyatt, where he burnt him alive.
Oh, see, I'm already forgetting what's what now. Firefly Funhouse was the John Cena one. I'm dumb. Yeah. But yeah, the Inferno match, that ending was pretty spectacular. I mean, it was obviously a dummy in place of the Fiend, but I thought WWE did a pretty good job with that and got a lot of people talking. And yeah, that was definitely a more satisfying ending than what AEW put out, you know, with the sparklers and everything. Like, yeah, if they had some kind of really big explosion that just took up the whole screen and they were laid out there, like that would have been way better. But yeah, not everything goes according to plan, and we just got to move on here with it.
Well, that's why sometimes you got to keep the booking simple and not overbook yourself, because when you do that, that's when errors happen. So on Dynamite, MJF, it appeared he was going to kick Jericho out, and he had everybody on his side from the inner circle. They all started heading towards over to Jericho. Sammy Guevara even came back, and everybody turned and looked at MJF, and it's almost like they kicked him out of the inner circle. But the heel that MJF is had a plan all along. And Big G, can you help me out on who's in his group? We have Wardlow. We have FTR.
Yes. And
Who else we got? And Sean Spears. So we got a new faction. We don't even know what they're called yet.
Tully Blanchard with them as well.
And Tully Blanchard. And it appears that they're obviously heels. And does this mean, which traditionally it should, are the inner circle going babyface, which I think it's good time. I'm fine with this. I think people can get behind them. So Big G, what is your take here? This actually, I know I talk about too many factions in AEW. This one I'm okay with because it's going to be that immediate feud with Inner Circle and whatever this new feud's called. So what do you think? Or faction is called. So what do you think?
Well, I kind of figured, you know, somebody was leaving the group or going to get kicked out, and I kind of figured it'd be MJF, but him forming a faction, I didn't see coming whatsoever. I mean, I know Sean Spears and Tully and FTR were getting together, you know, trying to form a similar version of the Four Horsemen. But, I mean, is this going to be the new Four Horsemen? Or is this going to be, well, we don't have no name yet. You know, there was rumors that were going around that Nick Aldis might join this faction before all this happened, and them being the Four Horsemen. But who knows what this is, what this name is going to be. But yeah, this is going to be an immediate feud. Obviously, Double or Nothing isn't until May, so I don't, you know, I'm sure they'll have like a big Dynamite here in the next couple of months or whatever, and they'll have a 10-man tag team match. And, you know, I'm glad the Inner Circle is you know, the faces now. Everybody sings Judas when Jericho comes out, so it's obvious, you know, and Jericho always does great as a babyface too. I mean, he's better as a heel, but he's done great as a babyface as well. And, you know, obviously Sammy Guevara coming back, that was cool too. And how he had set up the video camera and did all that. It led up to an awesome ending last night in Dynamite. I think that was a great ending to Dynamite in a long time.
Now, Dwayne Atkinson said in the video, Swagger, Santana, Ortiz all made MJF, you know, hey, I'm on your side. Well, yeah, if they're all, you know, Jericho and his crew, the original crew, all say, hey, if anyone tries to do this, obviously that was a ploy to trick MJF, right? So just because they showed that backstage doesn't mean they were truly on MJF's side. So yeah. This is interesting, Aaron. What do you think?
Well, a lot of people in the chat room are talking about the possibility of the blood and guts match that we'll finally get that 5-on-5 cage match once fans return. And they're just starting this feud now. Hopefully they can time it right so whenever we get a full arena of fans again, maybe in the summer, they can finally do the blood and guts match and we'll have something for that. I feel like that's what they're going to be building towards. I do like it. My only complaint, as we talked about, we got a lot of factions in AEW. Like, I think they need to maybe consider dropping a few factions. It's gotten to the point where you have more people that are not in a faction, or more people that are in a faction than not in a faction. And it's become a little bit overkill trying to keep track of all these different groups that they have. I mean, it's even worse than like 97 WWF where you had all those different groups. And then in TNA, you had all these different factions. David sent in a $2 super chat, says AEW should be called AOW, All Old Wrestlers. Ouch, David. That's a pretty harsh comment. I know AEW just signed Paul White and Christian. But yeah, like you got Sting in there. You got, you know, Cody's a young guy, but he's been around a while. And you got Omega. Omega's been around a while. They're not guys in their 20s anymore. And both companies, WWE and AEW, I think need to really focus on building up guys in their 20s and preparing them to be the next generation of superstars because, yeah, it's going to end up where history is repeating itself, where AEW is making the same mistakes that TNA made, where they're bringing in the past names, and those are the guys that are getting the focal point. And as far as what Brandon says, AEW needs to give Miro a better storyline. I agree 100%. But again, the long-term goal should be to be creating younger, new superstars that can carry the company moving forward.
So, speaking of younger superstars, and now it's time to go to our double main event here, which indirectly involves Vince McMahon. The first part of it I will bring up. Rumor has it that WWE is banning leg slaps. NXT main roster, I guess we're going to have to be the judge of that going forward.
Right.
And it's getting, you know, let's face it. You know, Shawn Michaels used to do it back in the day, but we never noticed. The last few years, you notice it because there's so many kicks and so many replays on Twitter, on the internet, you go back and you just see the leg slap. And that doesn't mean they're going to stop kicking, obviously, but I would like to see a lot of these matches slow down and have less high impact kicking to the faces that you kick out of. So to me, I'm looking at this as a positive. If this indeed does happen, it's going to start setting apart WWE and AEW because AEW, they're still going to do all that stuff. So I just want to know what everybody's take is. Do you think this is legitimately something Vince McMahon does not like and there's notes in gorilla position and these leg slaps are going to stop? And if so, is it going to improve some of this ring psychology and some stuff like the old school fans like me have been sick of? Big G?
Well, somebody just brought up McIntyre and Sheamus leg slap on Raw. So, and McIntyre's finisher is the Claymore. And I did notice I didn't really hear it, but I saw him hit his hand on his, upper thigh area, leg. And I mean, I have noticed it over the years too. You know, you'll hear them like slap their leg to make it seem like a bigger impact. And it's I don't understand why it has to be big. I mean, you made some good points, but I mean, if it's gonna make a bigger impact on somebody getting kicked, you know, to make it look real, then that's fine. But you know, if they don't do it, I mean, you'll still see them do their kicks and whatnot, but you won't be able to hear it anymore.
Some of the old school way, Big G, is the guy taking the move would slap himself, or the guy would slap the other guy's back to get the crack.
Now,
there was different tricks. You don't now it's everybody's got to do it themselves because they want to get their move over.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I noticed it on NXT last night too with Adam Cole, you know, him and his super kicks. And so I don't know if it isn't.
It might not be fully implemented yet, though. This is something very new. So that's why, and if a couple weeks from now we're still seeing it, we know this is a bunch of hogwash, but it's an interesting topic because I think that's something that needs to come out. They need to ban it. They need to stop that crap. Well, find more creative ways to make the sound.
Well, like, what do they do? Like, they ban like certain words in the WWE, and they ban certain. I mean, the moves I can understand.
Pile drivers, yeah.
I mean, the moves I can understand, but like the leg slapping and certain words that can't be used in WWE, I'm like, I mean, it is what it is. So,
you know, but like that's the thing, though. If a casual fan turns in and he watches a match with 20 kicks and he's like, "Why in the hell is the guy slapping his leg when he kicks everything?" They're going to be like phony. I mean, everybody knows wrestling's fake, but try to still make it look real.
Like when they punch. You know, they like hit the foot on the ring to make it sound like they're punching the guy. So I'm just like, okay, whatever.
So you pro leg slap or anti leg slap? I'm be honest. You think it enhances the match? Just tell me straight up.
Pro.
Okay, you're pro. I'm anti because I'm old school, right? And I'd rather see a headlock and I'd rather see that work into a back body drop. You know the whole routine. Aaron, take it away.
And Father Adrian brought up a great point. If it's done right and discreetly, no need to ban it. I agree with him on that. I think just like with anything in life, it's best to have things in moderation. I think you can do the leg slaps when there's a good opportunity to do it, when it makes sense, but not every single match. And I think it's gotten to the point now where everybody's doing it and it just becomes too noticeable. It becomes too choreographed. And I think that's part of the problem. You're not supposed to notice that stuff. And when it's happening all the time, you tend to take notice of it.
Yes. Yeah, so I don't look for it, Aaron, but when it's there, I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I don't look for it either. I'm not going to go like... Okay,
some fans do.
Dave Meltzer wants to know how many times this guy like slaps him. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think the best course of action is to just limit it to important moments. Like, maybe the finish of the main event at WrestleMania, you do the leg slap for the effect. But if you do it the opening match of a B pay-per-view, like what's the point? It doesn't mean anything if you just do it every single match. Opening match on Raw, opening match on SmackDown. Like pick and choose when you're going to do it so it can make the most impact, just like anything else. That's my basic take on it. And we'll see how long it lasts. Could end up not being a thing for very long.
So we'll move on to the secondary main event topic here. And Tito, Mr. Tito, columnist, NoDQ.com, who wrote an article not too long ago basically saying, what has Triple H really done for main eventers? And, you know, he's always been a JR guy, you know, in terms of talent relations. He's even pointed out all the great names today that are great, like Roman Reigns and such, that were on John Laurinaitis' time. Good old Johnny Ace is back. So this is interesting. If Triple H's NXT system, factory of wrestlers, is really getting stars over, like some people think, and it's just Vince McMahon doesn't see the vision. Okay, so is John Laurinaitis back to find stars again? I mean, how? Because it's still going through the NXT route. Is he back because he's a yes man like a Bruce Pritchard and Vince loves those guys around him and he needs one more? I'm just curious. You know, we saw him several years ago. He was on-air talent as well, people power. but he's back and he's in charge of talent relations. And this makes me feel there is still a huge divide with Vince McMahon's vision of what he sees as sports entertainment and what Triple H has created in NXT. Big G, I mean, this is screaming Mr. Tito, loving every second of this, because he really says Triple H has failed in getting WrestleMania quality main eventers over. And here we are a few months after his column, a few weeks after his column, and we got John Laurinaitis back in charge of talent relations, who signed some hefty names back in the day. What do you think?
Yeah. I think he's just bad. I mean, obviously he's going to be Vince's yes man. He's going to do whatever Vince says and whatnot. And hopefully he can find, him and Triple H can work something out where because you're going to need newer stars, obviously, because once the older roster can't wrestle anymore, who are you going to have? You can't freaking have Undertaker come out of retirement in a wheelchair and wrestle. You're going to have brighter and bigger stars. And the way to do that is you got to, what's the word I'm thinking of?
See, I'm going to tell you, and you can continue. Don't lose your thought. Don't lose your thought. The way they used to do it, they had OVW. It wasn't, it was the minor leagues of WWE, but it wasn't broadcast like that. Only the local people in Kentucky, Ohio Valley saw it. It wasn't all over the world where you see these people. And there's no special mystique when they make it to the main roster. But when that class of 2000, what was that, 2002 or whatever, came up, Batista, Orton, Lesnar, Cena, it was like, holy crap, we got some new people here. And look what happened to all four of them. Because they weren't overexposed. I feel NXT just makes these people overexposed, even though they think it's supposed to help them and get them ready. There's not that mystique about them at the point of that's to me the big divide. I loved how OVW handled it back in the day and how there was territories. This whole thing of the same company producing the stars, I think that's just not working for big level stars. Maybe because they don't want them, Big G.
Yeah. Well, before you got to remember, before NXT there was FCW, and that's where you had your Roman Reigns, you had Seth Rollins, your McIntyre.
It wasn't as mainstream as NXT, right?
And and we did have NXT, but that was like a competition show, and I'm sure Triple H had the vision of, or somebody had a vision of saying, "Hey, why don't we just make NXT this developmental brand?" And it was fine on the network for an hour, it wasn't overexposed. But now it's on, mainstream TV USA for 2 hours. And I can understand, they're trying to make as much money as they can, but you need bigger and brighter stars. And like I said before, Gargano and Ciampa, they're not going to want to go to the main roster because they have seen what their friends have gone through. Yeah, some of them have made it big, but can Kevin Owens, can Sami Zayn, can they be the big stars, 10 years from now? And with Laurinaitis back, I think he's got an eye for certain things, and maybe he'll see something in an NXT star that Vince doesn't sees, and maybe, Laurinaitis can talk to Vince and say, hey, there's something good with this person, this female or male superstar, and I think he can be the next top star in the next 5 to 10 years. So I mean, I'm glad, it's cool that he's back. Maybe he can make a difference, maybe he won't, maybe he's there. I think he said he's just to fill a position again. Like
that's my initial gut, right?
What's the word I'm thinking of?
Yes man, lame duck, to get fired a year from now, to put the blame on somebody.
Yeah, pretty much a sheep, a false scape, whatever you want to call it.
Scapegoat,
thank you.
All right, well, thanks for that input, Aaron. This to me, and I know everybody hates when we talk about it because he hasn't been there for 7 years, it increases the opportunity for CM Punk to come back one day, because I think Johnny Ace, I don't know for sure, but I think he brought in CM Punk, and that was back during his era of being talent relations. And I'm telling you, one day you're going to see Punk in wrestling, and then all the people that said he's never coming back, blah, blah, you're going to be marking out like you've never marked out before. But I had to mention that, Aaron, just because, you know, it might have went up from 3% to 6%, but it went up. What do you have to take on this?
That CM Punk pipe bomb, man, that was like the realest promo of all time. You know, I watched back on that clip when he talked about John Laurinaitis being the yes man that Vince likes to have surrounding him. And my gut instinct on all this is exactly what you said, Virtue. He's probably back as somebody that can take the blame if things are not going the way that Vince wants them to go. And we'll see if he's around in a year. You know, he's a guy that'll tell Vince what he wants to hear. And will anything change? No, because it's just business as usual. Whether it's John Laurinaitis around Vince or Bruce Pritchard, it's the same old guys that have been with Vince now for decades. Instead of bringing in some new people with new visions to change the creative structure of the company, it's just it's not going to change anything. The product will be exactly what it is. Like it or hate it, things will largely stay the same. Now, we do have some super chats, so let's get to those. TJS sent in a $3 super chat, says, sorry for missing the show. Family stuff, all good now. Well, glad to hear that, TJS. Glad that everything's okay with your family. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Psycho Jet Black. He says, guys like Adam Cole, Ciampa, Gargano refused to leave NXT because they're afraid of McMahon's vision. They would rather be big fish in a small pond. I think that's very valid. And I know in Ciampa's case, he's also concerned about injuries. But I still wonder to this day, like with the pandemic, why not call him up now? You know, I see him on NXT and he's growing out his hair and with his beard and everything. He's looking pretty old. Even though
he's only 39 years old.
Yeah.
He's only
like
39.
I say bring him up to the main roster, give him like a good year on the main roster, and then you can send him back to NXT or transition him to a different role. But yeah, I think it's a waste to not have Ciampa doing something on the main roster, whether it's a feud with Randy Orton or maybe even a match with Edge. There's a lot of interesting things you could do with him. And David McGinnis sent in a €5 super chat, says, I heard a rumor that John Laurinaitis wants to come back or wants to bring back the Divas title. Don't know if it's true or not. I hope not. I have not heard that rumor, but now that he's back, maybe that will open up the door for the Bella Twins to come back since he's their father-in-law now. Maybe there's something there. Yeah. We'll see the Bellas back sooner than later. Father Adrian went off topic here, but we'll go back to Father Adrian here in just a minute. We do have a few random questions here, so people are already getting in their overtime questions. Hab Connell sent in a $5 super chat, says, Aaron, you and I know you're only half the man that I am, and I have half the brain that you do. Now, Virtue, don't say anything. Big G, what's that promo from?
Was that Bobby the Brain Heenan?
No, incorrect. Virtue, do you know?
Yes, Sid Vicious from WCW Nitro. Yeah. And Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were in the ring.
All right, Big G, your homework assignment now is after this, you got to go on YouTube and look up that clip, Sid Vicious, Half the Brain, and tell me what you think about that promo. Now, here's another one for you, courtesy of Psycho Jet Black. He sent in $2. He says, Aaron, can you kick someone's leg out of their leg? Well, somebody did apparently do that. Now, Big G, do you know who that person is who said that line?
I have no idea.
Virtue, do you know?
Yes, Owen Hart.
There you go. Big G, there's another promo for you to look up.
I wish those were trivia questions back when I got skunked on trivia twice.
I know, right? All right, now, Dwayne Atkinson, somewhat on topic here with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, will Vince Barry, how do you pronounce his last name? Parker?
It's Bordeaux or something like that.
Okay, I thought that was how it is, like, you know, the X is silent or whatever.
Yeah.
Parker, I'll just call him Parker B. Will Vince Barry Parker B because he didn't come from the Indies if he succeeds and is called up? I don't think that has anything to do with it. If anything, I think him not being part of the indies will help him more because he's not going to have that indie stink to him. You know, they gotta.
There's some heat coming to you, but yeah,
they gotta change you up. They gotta make sure you're a sports entertainer, and they gotta reteach you the business and all this stuff that they say. So if anything, I think Parker's going to have more going for him because he doesn't have that indie experience, and they don't feel like they have to start from scratch with him. I mean, they are starting from scratch with him because he's not.
Is that Brock Lesnar looking kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if he gets it and he picks it up well, he's going to be a really big star in wrestling. It's just a matter of will he learn wrestling and will he become good at it? That remains to be seen. The jury is definitely out on that one. Oh, and here's another one from Hamp Connell, a $2 super chat. Big G, I'm going to start with you. Who said the following line? I look like a damn road sign.
I have no idea.
We got to get you up to speed, Big G. Virtue, I'm sure you know this one.
It was Jason Sensation as Owen Hart from the Nation of Domination.
Yes. So Big G, look up that one. You got 3 clips you got to look up. And if people keep sending in these lines, you might have to look up some more clips.
This might linger now. I have a feeling we're going to get a couple more.
All right. So Virtue, we do have a couple more super chats here, but they're off topic. Now, any other thoughts you have on the whole John Laurinaitis?
No, we'll see. You know, I mean, I actually would. I mean, with Adam Pearce on TV, we probably won't see Johnny Ace on TV, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do. But I'm interested to see some of the roster moves and signings coming up here in the next several months with him at the helm. You know, I know we usually have cuts after WrestleMania, so we got to see how that goes too. And someone mentioned earlier, you know, every year you keep talking about CM Punk and he never shows up. Look, you never say never in wrestling. The Ultimate Warrior came back and still did a Hall of Fame induction and hugged Vince McMahon. We never thought, and I know these are all different circumstances. Edge came out of retirement from a neck injury, a serious one. Daniel Bryan came out of retirement. Never say never. If Punk has that itch for 1 or 2 more, you know, years of a run, and he gets what he wants in his deal, the money, the creative liberties to a point, maybe a main event at Mania, or whatever at AEW, he'll be back, I think, for at least 1 or 2 more years, just because he knows he'll be the most talked about thing in the business. Mm. So, you know, I mean, maybe him and AJ Lee are happily ever after, and if they are, great, right? And if we never see him again, but they're happy, good for them. But them coming back as a duo, that would rock the wrestling world, and they both know that. Even if it was just for something short term, they both know that. So that's all I really wanted to add.
All right. And shout out to Dylan in the chat. He says, hi, love your video. Well, thank you for tuning in. We do appreciate it. All right. I got one more here. Big G. Let's see if we can guess this one. Dwayne Atkinson says, just look at my damn nose. Who said that?
I don't know. Was that Owen Hart with the Nation of Domination?
You got it. Good job.
Nope. My turn. It was Jason Sensation as Owen Hart from the Nation of Domination.
Okay, well, we'll give it to Big G. Okay, Big G, let's see if you know this one.
I don't think Owen Hart's look at my nose himself.
I know. Yeah,
I don't remember the guy's name.
So I'm 4 for 4. I think the chat will back me up on that. But anyway.
Psycho Jet Black says with $2, Jimmy Crack Corn and I don't care. Who said that, Big G?
Wasn't that Kurt Angle singing?
Yes.
Stone Cold? Yeah.
Good one.
Got it.
I remember some of them. It's not. Some of them were before my time. You know, I didn't watch.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay. So, and we got another one here from Father Adrian, sent in a €2 super chat. So this is for you, Big G. Who said, oh my God. This is an easy one for Big G. Who said, damn?
Ron Simmons, obviously.
Yes.
All right.
Good job, Big G.
I'm like 2 for 5.
Making me sweat over here. If you weren't going to guess that one, man.
And we got a super chat here from SSBS fanboy. He says, Aaron, book me and Virtue in a trivia match.
Decline, but I'll accept him in a debate, and he can pick any of the wrestling topics he wants to debate me in.
Oh, okay. There you go. Virtue's open to a debate. We got to bring back the NoDQ debate coming up for WrestleMania. So if anybody
trust me.
If anybody has some ideas for topics or even wants to possibly be on the debate, let me know. NoDQMISC@gmail.com. Oh, Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, 42? Why me? Why me? Why me? Big G, who said that?
I have no idea.
Dude, I don't even know if I know that one. You might have to help me out on this one, Aaron.
Here's a clue, Big G. He has half the brain that Scott Hall does.
Oh, okay.
Who's that, Kevin Nash?
Virtue.
Sid.
Sid.
Who? Oh, Sid.
Sid Vicious.
Yeah, was that a WCW thing where he said
was
that
when
at?
Goldberg was screwing around with his car and he crushed his car into a cube.
Some of that WCW Sid stuff slipped me. I was back in a Psycho Sid and Sid Justice
I didn't really
days.
watch WCW back in the day. I was more of a WWE.
My favorite thing about Sid is when he busted up the barbershop set and the shaving cream exploded and it was all over his face. And the fans on YouTube years later were like, "Oh, Sid found the cocaine stash."
I loved that promo back in the day on the barbershop. That was classic Sid. And by the way, I think it's 22, not 42 Psycho Jet Black, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, Virtue versus Big G, balls and a purse match.
Why?
Thanks for the $2.
Yeah.
Maybe Virtue versus TJS and a balls and a purse match. We could do that one.
Why again? Why?
Speaking of TJS, he says, disappointed by the new South Park special, was just not funny. I actually have not seen it yet, but I'll get back to you, TJS, for my thoughts on it when I get a chance to watch it. And do not spoil me, or you're going to get it even more than you already are. Let's move on here for the next super chat, which is another question. A different
3 people and we're over an hour. Unbelievable.
Oh my God. This
All right,
is ridiculous.
So Future Shocker 16 with a $5 super chat, and SSBS fanboy already emailed me about the debate video, so you may have a take or Virtue.
Time for bed.
All right, so the super chat here says, random question for later. Since WWE Network is going to Peacock, will that change WWE stock? I've bought into WWE stock, but now a little worried. Thanks. It might, but ultimately I don't think it's going to matter. Like, I don't think it's going to help in a positive way because I've heard a lot of negative things about Peacock, and I believe they actually lost money, like quite a bit of money last year. Is that true, Virtue? What do you know?
But WWE is going to make more money from NBCU for the WWE Network doing it this way than they were to collect their own user-based subscription fee. So that is a gain for WWE, no matter how good or bad Peacock is. So, yeah.
Big G, what do you think? Like, do you think this Peacock thing is going to work out for WWE? I mean, they already got the money, so that's going to work out for them.
People will get used to it.
Fans?
They'll get used to it. I mean, if you go on Peacock right now,
download it. Sign up.
Sign of the some of the WWE content over there. Like, they had like the best of WrestleMania. They have a couple of the WWE Untold over there already. Like, free content, and I'm sure when it goes fully over, I know I was reading that they won't have everything on there right away, but like by the time summer comes, they'll have everything back on there, like all the pay-per-views from WCW and ECW and whatnot. So,
all right, Big G, well, you said that very well. The question is, do you know more catchphrases in wrestling history? So we're going to put you to the test for a few more minutes here. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, how do you tuck your leg between your legs? Now, who said that, Big G? Do you know?
Who comes up with these lines?
The wrestlers. These are actual lines that the wrestlers use.
Were they high on something?
No.
How do you tuck your legs between your legs?
Well, you'd have to ask the
I don't
person
know.
that said
I
that.
was thinking 50-50 chance here. Was it Scott Steiner?
No, but Virtue, do you know who this one was, by the way?
No, I would just guess Jerry Lawler on commentary, but I some of these I don't know.
It was Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins in 2015. Now, Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat, and then we'll go ahead and do our plugs. Hamp says, you come out with Diamond Dallas Page's wife. Why don't you tell me who hasn't been with that bitch? Who said that?
Okay. This had to be from WCW.
Yeah. Thing is, I'm not even 100% sure on this one, but I have a guess.
Was it Nash?
Virtue, what do you think?
Flair?
See, I think it's Scott Steiner, but I'm not 100%
Probably
sure.
if Bitch was in it. If Bitch ended the promo. But again, they're really digging on some of these. It was Scott Steiner.
Of course, Tito said
and I should the Bitch should have threw it off or tipped me off on that.
No, Hamp Connell sent in another $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. Poor Big G. All right. I'm not even sure I know this one. He says, "Hey, Mom, I came to Washington, D.C., and I'm going to get to see Bush." I don't know this one.
Yeah, they're really – we need Greg Cherry on here if he would even know.
We need Greg Cherry for this for sure because I'm stumped on this one. I'm just going to say – man, I don't even know. I guess Scott Steiner by default. Who knows this one? Chat room, help us out here. Who said this line? Hey,
John Cena? I don't know.
Well, Ham Connell wrote it, so he should know who said it.
Yeah, Ham Connell. Who said that? Because
is it Eugene? Did somebody say Eugene?
No, Elon Brown says it's Glacier. I don't think it's Glacier.
Yeah, people are trolling.
Paul Heyman when Trish Stratus was stripping.
Oh, I remember it now. Was that when Vince made her bark like a dog?
Probably.
That sounds like that's when it was, because Washington, D.C. was when Trish was barking like a dog. Don't ask me how I remember.
Look at these chats. Oh, my goodness.
See what you started there, and you said
Ernie Eastman.
Because he told him the chat could be the fourth panel member, and this is what we get.
You guys are delivering. We very much appreciate it for keeping us entertained here tonight. Ernie Eastman with a $2 super chat says, "I thought AEW didn't want to bring in WWE wrestlers." Now, Virtue, isn't that what Tony Khan said at the beginning of AEW, that they didn't want to bring in former WWE?
He apparently doesn't remember what he said. I mean, this guy's just struggling just to figure out how to spend Dad's money. So he ain't remembering anything from 6 months ago. He's living life on the fly. Look at his look. He looked like, people were saying he looked like Rick Moranis, which I don't think would be a bad thing. I love Rick Moranis. Now he's growing his beard out. His hair is getting shaggier. He's wearing the rose-colored glasses. Man, what's happening? He's in a midlife crisis.
A little bit of
Tony Khan is in a midlife crisis, or the pressure of the wrestling business is getting to him.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Tony Khan is, like he said, Christian wants to be there. Big Show wants to be there. Well, duh. Anybody wants to be there and get a big paycheck.
Ready for this, Aaron? I swear to God, Big Show, Christian, and Jericho all live in the same neighborhood, maybe even on the same street in Tampa. At least they used to. At one point, I remember reading that. They all have deals with AEW. Friends, backyard barbecue, baby.
Exactly. Psycho Jet Black with one more challenge here. One more.
Kevin Nash.
Big G. Oh, I didn't even have to say it. Hey, guys, look up the adjective. Play. We ain't here to play. That is almost, 25 years ago since that promo. That is insane. Oh boy, Hamp Connor with another $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. We appreciate it. Big G's like, I'm done. This is it.
He wants to live on a high note.
All right. Pennies.
I just got the last one right.
I know. He has to end on a win. Like, we cannot end on a loss. That just won't work.
The greatest thing in the world, but they are next to it. That sounds like Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah, Hamp, you're going to have to tell us if he's right or wrong.
Yeah, that's what I would have said too, or him or Ric Flair. But
yeah, it has to be Lawler.
All right, so Big G's going with Lawler. I'm going with Paul Heyman. I don't know that one either, but it sounds.
We're saying Lawler.
Yeah, that sounds like a Lawler comment.
Hamp's got to tell us what it is. But anyways,
what is it?
Well,
let's start our plugs, because who knows how long this is going to go on. Big G, go ahead and start your plugs.
So yes, NoDQ.com/BigBallerG takes you to my Twitter page, and on there you'll find my link to my YouTube channel. And every Tuesday, the Gridiron Grapple at 4 p.m. Eastern, sometimes Mondays, depending on the mood. And one day we will have the man himself, Virtue, on there. That is it for me.
All right, so now Tito Jackson. How about this? Mr. Tito has sent in a $5 super chat. He wants to get in on the fun here. Mr. Tito, you should have been on tonight, Tito. We would have loved to have had you on with us to do the NoDQ review. And the door is open. He says, thoughts on John Laurinaitis taking over talent relations. He says, sorry if it was discussed earlier, tuned in late. Well,
Yeah.
finger of shame to you, Tito, for tuning in late. We did talk about it, and basically what we said to sum it up is nothing's going to change. It's going to be more the same, and it reminds us of CM Punk when he said that line about John Laurinaitis being a yes man, and you know, it's just somebody for Vince to blame if things don't go the way he wants.
Tito, I said that let's see if he still has his job in a year, but I also had the balls to say that CM Punk's chance of coming back to WWE at least went up from 3% to 6% with Johnny Ace, because he's the type of guy that will try to convince Vince and the WWE's corporate people to bring back people like that, whereas Triple H was just trying to, as you've pointed out, build his own indie stars, indie fed. So that's basically what I said. And Big G, what are you laughing at? What did I miss? Panties on a pole match?
This super chat. Thanks for the $2 for
Not much more to say about it. All right. So anyways, guys, thank you very much for being the fourth person. Hopefully next week we're back to having a 4-person panel for the No DQ review. I do want to let you guys know that we are going to be changing the time. We're going to be moving to 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific next week. So 1 hour later, we're going to be starting 1 hour later, and that'll hopefully
prime time.
That'll hopefully be opening up the door for some other people to be on that are not always able to be on the No DQ review. Give them an opportunity to chime in and give their thoughts. Father Adrian sent in a €5 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, who said, win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat? By the way, you missed earlier super chat. Was it your super chat, Father Adrian? I'll have to go back and look at that. But Big G, I'm going to put you on the spot first. Do you know who said that?
Was that Eddie?
No, but that's a good guess. Virtue, do you know?
Yeah, I would have guessed Eddie, but since he said it and it's not Eddie, was it JBL? I don't know. We're really digging deep. Who was it?
It was Jesse the Body Ventura that said that.
I should have knew that.
I see the word cheat and I think of Eddie Guerrero.
That's good guess.
I mean, yeah, like I said, very good guess there. Yeah, I'm not sure, Father Adrian. I did mention your last super chat earlier, so if it's yours, I'm not sure which one I missed. Oh, by the way, there was a super chat that I missed from the other day, but we're not going to bother with that right now. Actually,
shout out to Elijah Washington. I don't even know what it was about, but he said, LOL, Virtue got a good point. Yes, I know.
Oh, this was the super chat that I missed from the other night. Psycho Jet Black said Lars Sullivan had a better climax than AEW. So Psycho Jet Black, I know you've been in here tonight. You might have already tuned out, but if not, there you go. We said your super chat on the air here. And yeah, that's a nice dig at AEW. I'll give you credit on that one. All right, so NoDQ.com. Stay updated with the latest, and we'll be back next week. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Very much appreciated. And again, if you're watching this on Periscope or Facebook, head over to youtube.com/AaronRift NoDQ to get the updates. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and that's it. Thank you guys again. Virtue, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
So you can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. Then I have a Facebook page also, NoDQ.com/Virtue with the lowercase v. Go to NoDQ.com/merch and get your Troll Slayer shirt or your Debate King shirt. And Aaron, do we still have the Virtue's Rage shirt and the Fire Virtue shirts up, or are those over on Pro Wrestling Tees still?
I believe they're on the Teespring, but if not, I can get them up on Teespring.
But anyway, and then all the other great No DQ merch as well. But for Aaron Rift, for Big G, I am Virtue. This has been the No DQ review number 131. And guess what? It's WrestleMania season, so we're going to be back again. And I don't know, we might even go longer next time. But the question is, who will be back on to join us? See you next time.